In the big ol' year of 2026, following the humongous and continued success of titles like Animal Crossing New Horizons and Stardew Valley, we now seem to be swamped with cozy titles, their numbers growing steadily day by day. Farming, cooking, decorating, romancing, and a little bit more farming. You get the picture. Now honestly, don't get me wrong, that's one of my favourite game formats to completely get obsessed with, sink most of my waking hours into, and looking at the videos I post over here on YouTube, hopefully you can see that. So many cozy developers handle their games with love, care, and a genuine passion for the genre. They bring something new to the table, create gorgeous, original artwork, and truly make their own mark. However, as with anything that becomes more widely successful, there's always someone looking to churn out a low-effort product to cash in on the trend. And oh boy, we've seen a few of those around by now, especially in the cozy gaming space. This is where our train arrives at Heartopia. You may now depart the train. But hey, I best give you an overview of the game before we get into anything further. If you're new here, hi, and if not, welcome back. I'm Sbooskie, and we cover a load of cozy game content over here on YouTube. I stream twice a week over here and typically focus on Animal Crossing, although I do throw in some other games here and there too. Currently, the obsession is Pokemon Heartopia, as I'm sure it is with a lot of other people too. Don't forget to like this video / subscribe to the channel, as it would really help me out. But anyway, back to Heartopia. Heartopia is a multiplayer life simulation game crafted for creativity, freedom and peace. Build your dream home, explore a wide range of hobbies, and forge warm connections with friends in a town full of endless possibilities. It's developed by XD International, a Chinese game development and publishing company, seemingly with a focus on mobile gaming. They have a substantial catalogue of games on Steam, none of which I'm familiar with personally, but this could just be because they're out of my niche. Heartopia released on the 17th of January 2026 and is free to play, but it's important to note here that this is a gacha type game, meaning it involves a gambling element with in-game purchases. However, put a pin in that, we'll get back to that later. I first came across Heartopia in January, shortly before its release, and honestly, on a first glance, I was kind of interested, and it did make its way to my wishlist on Steam. I was itching for a new life sim game, and hey, this one looked cute. I liked the outfits, shown in the promotional materials, and the multiplayer aspect could have been worth a try. Time passed by, and it gradually slipped out of my mind. Eventually, I was alerted to its arrival by a barrage of Heartopia-related YouTube videos on my feed. I watched a few, interested to see if this game was something I should invest some time into. Initial reactions seemed positive, and the biggest issue I was gathering from creators was janky manual camera movement that had to be done by like clicking and dragging the mouse or something. On a whole though, these reviews seem largely positive. In retrospect, some of these creators were likely sponsored or incentivized by the developers in some way when reviewing Heartopia, which is a-okay, and it's something that's incredibly common. I've done a few of these myself, mostly just covering games on Steam that I've been given a free key for, so I'd be a massive hypocrite to say otherwise. I just think it's important to be aware that while creators may genuinely love a game that they're sponsored by, or endeavour to give their honest opinion, we're only human, and often some kind of subconscious bias will linger when there's a slight relationship with the company in question, be it through direct payment or a free key. Sorry, PSA over. Make sure you do your research before spending your hard-earned cash. Right, yeah, the janky controls. Heartopia's early reviewers did seem to note that the PC version of the game seemed to be a port from mobile, which makes sense as XD International are in the business of mobile gaming. Besides this, I blissfully forgot about Heartopia again for a brief moment, slightly deterred by its awkward controls and mobile game vibes. I feel like now is a good time to touch on the ethics of free-to-play gacha games. On one hand, sure, it's great to be able to play a game for free, and only put a few odd coins into it here and there if you really want to, or just like not at all. I remember hearing that Heartopia's gacha content was only cosmetic and easily avoidable, which sounds great, but surely they have to make money somehow. If it's easily avoidable, surely they won't be profiting. And we all know that companies definitely love not profiting. Having not played the game myself because of the reasons listed in this video, I decided to take a look into the reality of the microtransactions in this game and came across this post here from a Reddit user saying, "They really smack you over the head with in-game purchases and limited time sets. FOMO. Immediately. I'd rather not get wrapped up in it. Doesn't sound too avoidable to me." In reference to the free-to-play genre, another user writes, "They basically all have predatory monetization because that's kind of the point of free-to-play as a model. Sure, you can tell yourself you won't pay, and maybe you won't if you literally can't, but the reality is that the marketing is explicitly designed to get you to change your mind, and that infects every aspect of game design. Pretty much everyone I've ever spoken with IRL that has played free-to-play games ends up spending more on them than a normal game with an upfront purchase. Some of them didn't even realize it until I had them add it up. Games like Heartopia rely on pushing users into making these in-game purchases, so of course they're going to weave it into the fabric of the game somehow. Perhaps you're allowed to get away without seeing much from them at first, but once they've hooked you in, the frequency of their mentions, or even the necessity of them to progress will slowly creep in. In Heartopia specifically, I would imagine that they do rely heavily on this FOMO between players. It's an MMO. Sorry, editing me here. Just dropping in to say that Heartopia isn't really a full MMO type game. You do see players in the world with you, and I think it's up to like 12 at once, so you can still see players and interact, and I feel like the point still stands here. But just to clarify, it's not really like a proper MMO. And so being the boring old free clothes character next to someone that's fully kitted out in K-pop idol worthy threads is gonna drive transactions up for sure. However, I feel that being able to buy specific items is one thing, but the inclusion of gacha mechanics is where things get a bit more complicated and foggy. Think blind boxes. You know, like Labubu's or those weird mystery dumpling things. There is some cute blind boxes out there, don't get me wrong. The concept is simple. There's a set selection of products you could receive in a mystery box, all with varying rarities. You buy a box and you could receive something ultra rare. It's essentially a form of gambling. With physical blind boxes, yes, the gambling element is still a big issue. And with physical products, the topic of over or excessive consumption definitely features more prominently. However, I think that in gacha games, things can slip a little more under the radar. There's not a physical pile of discarded Labubus to have to deal with at the end of the spend. A reminder that perhaps this was a mistake, and you didn't really need all of these. All of these items in free-to-play gacha games are digital, out of sight, out of mind. A few clicks of a button and the item you want could really be yours, although let's face it, it probably won't. This mechanism can prove enticing and end up trapping players of any demographic into a financial drain. However, I think it's really important to emphasize here that these gacha games are enticing children and young people to gamble that perhaps wouldn't have been exposed to it otherwise. It's predatory. Sure, parents do need to keep an eye on what their kids are up to, but sometimes this isn't always that easy. Hey, as a kid I used to ask my parents for phone credit to go on my pay-to-go Nokia, and then I was able to use that to pay for Club Penguin and Small World's membership somehow, and they never had a clue. The next time I saw Heartopia content pop up on my social feeds was when users were discovering that developers had been using generative AI. I won't go too much into the ethics of this here, but to summarize, generative AI notoriously steals and scrapes artwork from real human artists, and then it just kind of like poops out its slop. It's often used by companies to avoid paying real people for their work, not to mention the hugely negative impacts that it has on the environment. I believe this was first brought up in Heartopia when an AI-generated image was found to have been used in an in-game puzzle, which caused a stir online, especially as, to my knowledge, no AI disclosure had been made prior. The backlash from this discovery eventually led to XD making a statement about the use of AI in Heartopia. Here's an extract that I found, taken from an article written by The Gamer. This announcement serves to provide clear disclosure regarding the use of AI content generation in Heartopia. AI is used in puzzle gameplay to interpret and redraw in-game snapshot images. AI is used in in-game chat to help players understand different languages, the disclosure reads. Monetization content in Heartopia does not include AI-generated materials. Should any AI-assisted content be used in the game in the future, it will be announced in advance. Marketing materials produced outside the game, including those created by third-party suppliers, are not covered by the scope of this disclosure. Thank you for your continued support and feedback as we build Heartopia together. As a result of all this, the Steam page for Heartopia now includes an AI disclosure section, which in this case reads, the developers describe how their game uses AI-generated content like this. AI-generated content disclosure. AI is used in the puzzle gameplay to interpret and redraw in-game snapshot images. AI is used in the puzzle gameplay to reinterpret and redraw in-game snapshot images. AI is used in game chat to help players understand different languages. So I feel like Heartopia is trying to say that their AI usage is limited to these two use cases, which I'd be really interested to hear if anyone's seen it pop up in any other aspects of the game since this statement has been issued. It's important for users to be aware of the content they're consuming. If you're happy to play a game about creativity that uses generative AI, then hop off, I guess. It's when people opposed to generative AI are playing and supporting it unknowingly that I feel a level of deceit lies. And finally, we arrive at Heartopia's most recent controversy. I will drop a bit of a warning here, as this latest conversation around Heartopia is focused on racism, mainly in relation to the depiction of a black presenting NPC. On Saturday morning, I was scrolling my feed on Blue Sky and saw some talk of racism in a Heartopia cutscene. Naturally, this caught my attention. Now, I won't share the actual video here, but I will try to include a still from it. In this cutscene, an NPC depicted as a person of colour, one of the few POC characters included in the game, was depicted eating a mushroom, becoming poisoned or intoxicated, and then proceeding to dance around like a monkey while making monkey noises for some reason. Oh, apparently that reason was to accurately depict the symptoms of dizziness and loss of bodily control resulting from poisoning. This is a screenshot of a message from the Discord server apologising for the cutscene. They state that it has now been removed. This is also where a defense of the character's name comes into play from some. Allegedly, the developers have named this character Kapil, as mentioned in their Discord post. However, some players have stated that they didn't see the name actually appear in the game, but that it's just now surfaced. The name Kapil is said to be of Indian descent, allegedly relating and being something to do with monkeys. So, avert racism or developer ignorance? I'll let you decide. Although I will say, in the age of the internet, that developer ignorance would be a hard one for anyone to defend. You're creating for a global audience. Consider them. I will also mention that there seems to be a lot of censorship on the official Discord server, with users receiving timeouts and bans for expressing concerns. I will also note that Heartopia has previously been called out for not being inclusive to POC characters, with limited options for black hairstyles. All in all, I feel like this game is a perfect example of developers trying to hop into a growing gaming community and genre, with little care and attention towards those who love it so much. To me, it honestly feels like a cash grab with flaky implementation and questionable ethics. Have you played Heartopia? If so, let me know your experience with it down in the comments. I'd also love to hear your takes on the state of the cozy gaming sphere overall. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like/subscribe to the channel, because I'd love to see you in the next one. But until next time, goodbye for now.